It's 6 p.m. the 6th of January here in Korea, coming to you live from the Arirang News Center in Seoul. I'm Kwon Jang-ho, and thank you for joining us. Our top story this evening, with inter-Korean talks set to go ahead as scheduled on Tuesday, officials from the two Koreas are in discussions over the makeup of their respective delegations. And in some news just coming in, the South Korean government has revealed that the country's unification minister will lead Seoul's 5-member team. Park Ji-won starts us off.
The two Koreas began working-level discussions on Saturday on how to form each side's delegation for Tuesday's high-level talks, and the South Korean Unification Ministry has finalized its 5-member delegation. The delegation will be led by its Unification Minister Cho Myung-gyun and 4 other members, including Unification Vice Minister Chun Hae-sung and the Vice President of the Pyeongchang Olympics Games Planning Kim Gi-hong. North Korea hasn't yet confirmed its delegation members, but watchers expect Lee Sung-won, the chair of North Korea's Committee for Inner Korean Affairs, to head up Pyongyang's delegation. The two sides will meet on Tuesday at the Peace House in Panmunjom on the South Korean side of the border. The main agenda items will be North Korea's participation in the upcoming Pyeongchang Winter Olympics and improving inner Korean ties. If everything goes smoothly, Tuesday's meeting will be the first high-level gathering of its kind since December 2015. The South Korean government is also prepping for the talks with several strategic meetings this weekend. Related ministries as well as the Pyeongchang Olympics Organizing Committee are taking part. This comes as Japan's Kyodo News Agency reports that North Korea's IOC member Chang Ung said North Korean athletes will likely to participate in Pyeongchang next month, particularly in pairs figure skating. Chang reportedly made the comment to reporters at Beijing's International Airport, where he was presumably transferring for a flight to Switzerland, where the IOC's headquarters are located. Park Ji-won, Arirang News.
The United States has warned North Korea that military options remain on the table if diplomatic efforts fail to end the nuclear crisis on the Korean Peninsula. Speaking to CNN on Friday, U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said the Trump administration wants to achieve denuclearization through diplomacy, but those efforts have to be backed by a strong military option. Tillerson also urged Pyongyang to refrain from further provocations, saying they will only result in more severe sanctions. On the high-level inter-Korean meeting scheduled for Tuesday, Tillerson said the U.S. is waiting to see how the discussions go. A day after South Korea and the U.S. decided to postpone their joint military exercises until after the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympics, the defense chiefs of the two countries talked over the phone to reaffirm their strong alliance. Seoul's defense chief also reassured his American counterpart that the two-track policy of sanctions and dialogue remains in place. Woo Jung-hee reports.
South Korea's Defense Minister Song Yong-moo and U.S. Defense Secretary James Mattis talked over the phone on Friday night and discussed the North Korea issue and the South Korea-U.S. alliance. They reaffirmed their ironclad alliance and their shared goal of achieving the complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula and peace and stability in Northeast Asia. While the two Koreas are set for talks on Tuesday ahead of the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympics, Seoul sought to put Washington's mind at ease. Defense Minister Song confirmed to Mattis that South Korea will continue its two-track policy of sanctions and dialogue with Pyongyang. And Mattis reaffirmed his country's ironclad security commitment to South Korea, including extended deterrence. The phone conversation comes after Seoul and Washington agreed to delay their joint military exercises, key resolve and full legal, until after the Pyeongchang Olympic Games come to an end. The two countries' Combined Forces Command said the postponement is to focus on ensuring the security of the Games and that routine exercises are required to maintain joint military readiness. Woo Jung-hee, Arirang News.
The first round of negotiations to amend the South Korea-US Free Trade Agreement took place in Washington on Friday local time. The talks were led by Seoul's Director General for FTA negotiations, Yoo Myung-hee, and an Assistant U.S. Trade Representative, Michael Beeman. According to local media reports, the U.S. demanded the removal of non-tariff barriers in South Korea's auto industry and the further opening of agricultural livestock markets in Korea. South Korea, in turn, demanded improvements in investor-state dispute settlement provisions and eased safeguards requirements. The next session is scheduled to take place in Seoul, with negotiations slated to be held every 3 to 4 weeks. The world's major investment banks forecast that South Korea's economy will maintain a near 3% growth in 2018. The Korea Center for International Finance and the Bank of Korea revealed their findings on Saturday, which compiled data from 9 top banks, including Goldman Sachs and Barclays. The average growth prediction was 2.9% in 2018 and 2.8% in 2019. That falls in line with the Bank of Korea's estimate of 2.9% released in October, but the bank's governor, Lee Ju-yeol, also said this week that he believed the nation could break 3% this year. Last year's growth rate was 3.1%. The 9 banks also forecast that South Korea's consumer prices to post a 2% rise this year compared to 1.9% in 2017. The number of people passing on assets to their children has reached new highs in Korea. According to the National Tax Service on Saturday, in 2016, over 50,000 people paid gift tax on assets worth over 100 million Korean won, the equivalent of about $94,000. That's an on-year increase of 21%. Those in their 40s made up the largest group at almost 15,000, but those aged between 10 and 19 saw the on-year fastest growth of 31%, making up over 1,400 people. Experts say there has been a rise in this so-called golden spoon generation as older family members offload their assets early to avoid greater inheritance tax and gift tax in the future. That's all we have time for today. We'll be back tomorrow, 12 p.m. Korea time, with all the latest updates. Thank you for tuning in and hope you're having a great weekend. Goodbye.